Hello everybody. In this video we are going to connect a C# console application to a SQL database, and we will be able to do some operation, pull up data, and see the information in your console. So without anything else to add, let's just get started. So as you remember in the previous video, we created a new database in the cloud. If you didn't create it, you can actually skip it. Remember, you can actually skip that if you already have a SQL server installed somewhere, or you have access to a SQL server, or if you did it through Docker, like the book explained it. Like that doesn't matter. The thing is, you need to have a database somewhere available. So I already have mine. So what I'm going to do is going to reconnect. So because I'm actually using .NET Core, like the core elements, so we need to add extra functionality that is not included by default in order to make the connection work. So the first thing that we need to do, we need to go to the Nugget sections, and we need to look for SQL client. And we should give you the system data SQL clients that came from Microsoft is with a little dot. In this case, I have version 4.8.2. There's another one that is a little bit older, version 3. Don't do this one, you need to do the latest one. We click it, and this will allow us to have all those SQL connection, exception parameters, data readers, commands that we're going to be using for here. So you have Visual Studio complete, you go to the package manager to install it. You have the CLI, the way that I'm doing it, you go to the .NET CLI. So we just copy this and we open our code again. Let me go to my terminal, new terminal, and I will execute that. This will download and create a reference as a package reference right here to that SQL client. That will allow us actually to start making some kind of connections. So let me just do, we can actually go here and do using system.data, the SQL client is there. So now we can actually do some connections, and it's really straightforward, actually really, really fast. So in this case, because I want to show you something extra, I will not get rid of the class, so we will actually use it in this case. Let me go to my main, and what I need to do, I need to create a SQL connection, a string builder. So we need to create or get, or how can I say it? Let me show you. So the best way that I like to use it is we actually need to have a SQL connection, usually called connection, and it's going to be a new one, right? And we should be pretty much passing that connection right here, right? So how do we get that connection itself? It's really simple. We actually get it. And let me get back to Azure. Azure right here. Let me go back to my database. And if you click in show connection string, that little button over here, and I can actually copy. And we should be able to paste it right here. So we have a new connection, and it's important to remove that semicolon at the end. So that, and let me just grab it. There you go. So we have the full connection over there. The only thing that we need to add, we actually need to add a password. Yeah, so you just need to put your real password there. In this particular case, I should not be doing this, you should be private, but let me pause the video a little bit. And let me put the password somewhere else, and then I will apply a string over here. So I created a new password class, and that password have the property of my secret. So let me just initialize that right here. I will do password be equal new, and I should be able to change this string, and I will change my password with my pew.secret, right? So I just started right there, and I will go to this concept later. Well, in other words, you need to put your password right there. So that will allow us to have the connection, and the connection will allow us to open it. So after we have the connection, that element needs to go to a Sql command. So we actually say the Sql command, and this is a simple text. Let's call this the query. It's going to be um, equal new, right? And we need to send over here. So you can actually do what we did before in our, what can I say it? In our Azure Data Studio. And let's do a simple select first name for our customers. Now, you have another database. Of course, this query needs to be reflected something for that particular database. We will not deep regarding how SQL actually works because it's outside the scope of this class. We're just connecting and pulling data. So we have the query there. And we need to send the query and we need to set the connection. So let me just send the query and the connection. So we know that that one actually needs to run. After this, we just do connection open. And whenever we use the connection open, we just need to close it too, in order not to leave connections open anywhere. So let's close this one. And between those is where we actually execute our queries. So after we have the connection open, in this case, because I'm pulling data, so let me do a simple data reader called my reader. It's going to be my command, my query, pretty much, dot execute reader. This will give us a way to navigate through the different rows just moving forward. So every time that here we allow us to have reader.read, and they will pretty much read that particular the first row, and it will move the cursor to the second one. So whenever we execute read again, it will read the second row and go on, go on, go on. So in order to make this work, we can actually put while, and let's put that one right there. So while we have we are reading information, we can do a simple console.writeLine, and let's put my reader. And the way that we can actually send the string with a name, so we can actually tag it, and let's do the name of the particular column. In this case, we are calling the first name, so let's send the column right here, and that should be it pretty much. We should be able to do dotnet run, and now we were able to connect, and we will pull up all those names right there. Let me change the query, and we can actually get can do something like this then. I put it one over here, and we are sending this string over here. Okay, and we can do something really similar. And let's do last name is the other column that we have. Last name. Let's save it. Let's execute. And now we should be able to get name and last name. Also, we're able just to get information as an array somehow. So you say, give me the first, or the second, it is actually the second column. We're going to get just the value of the second column. Right, in this case are false. So I'm not exactly sure which one column is that one. So we can actually do index, or we can do through the name of the column itself. And it works. I believe the first column is actually a customer ID. So we actually pull off all the IDs that we had. So that's pretty much the way that we can actually execute it. And you can do pretty much whatever you need, right? Um, and follow up with that information. So as simple as this is how you execute query, and it's just to read the information. When you want to do something on the database, like if your query is like an insert or something, you don't execute a query, you execute a no query, like execute, sorry. Instead of execute that one, you will execute a non-query, for example. That means that we just return the values that the quantity of rows that have been affected, right? And you can actually change this to a var, right? And just execute that particular execute non-query, and you should be good to go and just do whatever you need to do. Of course, the read is not part of the executable query, that's why it's complaining, but that's the way that you can actually push information to the database. So it's really, really straightforward. It's actually really, really simple. As you can see, we don't need that many lines to do it. Now we have the convenient way that you get the reader through like an array, where we can actually do it through index, or we can do it through column name. That's pretty much it, and it's really straightforward. But now I want to touch base about another subject here. And that subject is that I don't like to have this kind of information, and it's actually bad. Having your passwords available in your source code, or your username, even your connection string available, that's actually not the way to do it. And we should be able to implement some kind of different item. And for that, we can actually do everything in app settings .json, but we can actually keep that. Or we actually have the secrets. Secrets are like variables that you can use that belong just for your development environment. And it's important just to use those in development environment and not in production. But in this case, whenever we actually do, let me do a create a git file. If I do git init, by default, I have my password class, and my password class have my actually password for the database. Save it. So that one should not be there. So one way to do it is just go to the bottom of my git ignore. Let me just go to the bottom, and we can actually just add password.css in order to track it. And of course, it's case sensitive. There you go. And that way we're able to put it on GitHub without that particular file. But then it's a little more complicated to make it work the way it's supposed to. So that's where secrets or actually come along. And there is a little, I don't remember which chapter we skip it, talk a little bit about that, but I want to show you how you can handle secrets in a better way without saying it having anything in your source code. So for now, let me just delete my password CSS. I don't need it anymore. Let me delete it from the list. And let me show you what we need to do. So the first thing that we need to do here, oh, let me delete this one too. And this will be fixed in a minute. So in order to handle the secret, we just need to do .NET user dash secrets init. The user secret init will actually add a user secret ID, and we have a folder in the computer referring to the ID where all those secrets are going to be saved. And now for that, we can actually do, I will remove my user ID and the password from this list. I don't need it. I will keep this one like this for now. And I will copy all this information. And we'll do .NET user secret set, and I will call this database connection string. I will paste all that in double quotes. It will take a minute in my computer. I don't know why that pasting is that low here, but well, it is what it is, right? So the way to use it is we actually do .NET user secret set the name. I like to have it like this is somehow the scope, so you can actually group secrets. And I have the CS right here. So this is actually going to be my connection string. Let me save it. And I will list it. So if I do .NET user secret list, that will say, okay, I have a user secret that is actually this one over here, right? So that one can be used now in our code, and I will show you in a minute how to do it. For now, I want to use that one. I want to do .NET user secret set going to be database, and let's call the user, and my user is going to be ROMBE. Of course, if I list it again, that show me I have my user, I have my connection string. And now I can do the same for the password. Of course, I will not show that on screen. So let me pause the video, I will add the password, and we will continue. Actually, I noticed that probably you're not seeing it. So let me do a couple of enters here. There you go. So the user secret list, it shows my database user and my database connection string. So I mean save it, that we need to do some configuration in order to read that and be able to use it in our code, and I will show you how to do it. So let me pause the video and actually put now my password. Okay, now I have my secrets there. I cannot show anymore because I already saved my password, but that will allow me to actually do some kind of configuration settings. So for that, actually we need to go to get the new NuGet. And let me open my browser again. So now let me look for configuration. And let's go to the main configuration. We actually need to get the binder one. And as you can see here, the version is actually showing me version 6. That means that is for the next version of .NET. We're actually using version 5. So I will open the latest version 5 that it has. I will copy this and go to my code execute. So I will add the binder. Let me just clear it so it's okay. And let me look for secrets. User secrets. There you go. The same thing. It showed me version 6 by default. So I will go back to get version 5. Copy that and paste it. That will allow me now to use my user secrets in my code. We can corroborate that through here. So we have the binder and the user secrets. Perfect. So now we can actually do a configuration. First of all, just because I'm lazy, let's get configuration completely. You can actually do dot binder and another one for the user secret, but let's get everything that we have for configuration, right? So the first thing, before actually inside my class, I need to create a public static type I configuration that is an interface for configuration, right? For the default one, set a key value application configuration properties, and I will call this configuration with a simple get set, right? So after I have that one, I will initialize my configuration as a new configuration builder. So we create a new configuration builder, but not only that, um, configuration builder is complaining. What is complaining? Some always happens something. Oh, yeah, we need to do something extra for this one because this one is high configuration. We need to do so. We need to do the configuration dot build, right, and that will allow us to have it right now. Perfect. So this will allow us to use a configuration and the build process just to get the configuration and make it available in my code. But in this particular, I will do something extra. I will do dot add user secret, and I need to send a class with my user secrets will be available, and that will be my program because when I'm actually executing everything, right? So that one, and this is a function that means need to be executed. And if I save it, I have my configuration now instance be built with the user secrets from the product. Am I able to see all the secrets I created before through this particular configuration? One way to get those, and let me just comment all this out because I don't need it for now. And let me do a simple console dot write line, and we can do configuration, and we can get it through this, and it will say db username or user. I don't know how we call it. Let's try username. If we do .NET run, okay, no. Oh, connection. I need to comment this out. There you go. Let's run it. And actually, I call it user, not username. So where is my configuration database user? I'm able to pull up the username from my secrets. That means that I'm able to use it through my code. So that's the way to use it, and I can actually use just like that without any issue. So let me just get rid of this. I don't need that right line anymore. I want to show you how the configuration is actually created or being consumed, right? So now I can do something extra with my connection. So now I will not send the string right away the way that it is. So let me just delete the content, and I will be using something different for my connection. I will create a Sql Connection string builder, and it will, let's call it connection string. Let's call this builder. We want to equal to new, and let's send the content here. And we can have it empty, or we can actually send something about it. And we already have the configuration. And let's call this db dot or db colon cs connection string, right? And I can do now to my builder dot my user ID, and this is a little more real scenario, going to be equal to this. Of course, instead of doing cs, it's going to be the user. And let me just duplicate this, and my password will be configuration.password. And I believe I call it like that. Let me check. Sorry, yes, it's going to call it password. So now with that, my connection string itself, now that we have a builder that, let's say, takes different strings in order to convert or create a full configuration itself, let's actually send better the builder dot connection string. So with that, now if we execute our application, .NET Run, we'll still be able to pull up everything. Let me change this to first name. Let me do it again. .NET Run. There you go. I pull it all the first name. Cool. And that's pretty. So we have pretty much everything. We have our secrets and connection string saved somewhere else. Of course, whenever we deploy this or we share it, that somebody else needs to have those. But there's another ways to actually share that information instead of share it to GitHub. I'm doing this because I don't want to put passwords in GitHub. You actually should not be putting password or connection string in GitHub. So that way the secrets will never be uploaded, just your source code. That's the main reason that we're actually doing like this. So we read the configuration and we get that. It's pretty neat. There's one last thing that it bothers me a little bit. I don't like to send strings in order to pull up something. Like, this could lead to user error. What I like more is to have a strong type information there. So in order to do it, I can do a POCO element. A POCO is a simple class just with properties. And let me create a new called database configuration. And that database configuration will have a simple class properties. It's going to be public, a string, connection string, get, set, a public string, user. This property needs to have the same name as your secret. That's really important. So db is the namespace, and we have cs as connection string, user, and let's do the get, set, and let's do the public string, password, get, set. Okay, this is a simple class database configuration, right? This will just to have this. We have the same elements of our secret, so we can do something different here before we actually do the builder. One cool thing that we can actually do is I will initialize my database configuration. So let me do, where I can do it before the builder. Yes, here. So let me do my database configuration. I will call this database conf. Yes, database conf probably is better because the other one is too long. And for it's going to be equal to my main configuration. I will get a section. That section will be the namespace. That's why we actually save it as, for example, dbcs. Remember, this is the namespace. So we can actually just get that section, give me everything related with the database. And I want to get the information, and I will send it the type here. And I will match that configuration to my database configuration class. If I save this, everything should working. In order to do the get, and the binder need to be installed. That's why we actually install the configuration binder. So we bind my section to this particular class, where we know that that class have just 3 different properties, right? So actually I match it. Now, instead of calling this information here, I can use dbconf.connectionString. A lot better. That will allow me to reduce my typos and possible issues. So I can use database user, and this one can change to database.password. Right? Perfect. Let me already save everything. Let me clear my console and do dotnet run again. You will see that we're still able to pull up information, right? And now it's better because we actually not sending strings, and it's information or configuration is strong type now. And when it's strong type, it's always better. So now we need to do something about this string and this string, but that will be for another video. We'll keep it this like that. So just to show you different ways that you can actually use it. And probably a last example that we can actually use here, just to show you that it's actually working this way, is to have a, what can I say, a bigger query. And I already have one over here. I will save this and let me paste it. So I will change my query and I will paste this long one over here. And of course, I need to send this here. What is complaining now? There you go. So this is a big query. Let me make this uppercase select. So I will select from my customer ID my first name, the last name, and I will count on my orders, and I will show that the customer ID from orders. And I will do a sum of the total due. And I will call the count as orders, the sum I will call it total, and it will come from my customer list, and I will have a variation for that table to be seen. I will do a left join to my sales order header, and that will be abbreviated to O. And I will say that that join will happen when my customer ID is equal to the customer ID of my orders. And I will group it by customer ID, by first name, and by last name. And I will say always when that count is bigger than 0. That means just give me person that doesn't have an order there in order to pull up the data. And something extra that I can do too, if I can change this grind line to be something like this, right? I will say person just meet has this many orders with a total sale of the total, right? So we can actually have a more complex with a join query. We can execute anything. And then we do dotnet run. And we should be able to pull up the data, right? Caterina Bell had one order with a total sale of this one, right? Of course, we can actually change this to be a currency if we wanted. Like that's pretty much the way to do it. But show you that you can be as creative as you want. This was information how to actually do it. So remember, every time that you do a connection and you open that connection, you need to close it, or you need to do something like using. We can actually wrap this the way that I mentioned before with using statement. Oops. And I believe I can do just using the connection open. I can send all this right there. And I can remove this close because it's not needed anymore. I can just using connection. There you go. We do connection.open over here. Okay, but if this actually works, let me see. Let me clear. Let me execute. There you go. So with the using statement, we can just leave the connection open and it will close automatically. It will dispose all the objects. Or you remove it, the using one, and pretty much specify that that connection needs to be closed. So whatever is better for you. I like to have it like that because I don't like to have that many indentation, but this actually works pretty cool. So that's now you got it. We're able to have a secure application that we can actually share, that we have somehow telling the other developers that we need to have a connection string, a user, a password. So we need to get that information to make this application work. And that's it. So for now, let me just git commit, git add, sorry, all of this, git commit, message, example, finish it. And as I mentioned before, this is just for me. Repo create. We call ADO.NET demo. There you go. Going to be public. And let me just push this read master. And let's do -u. So now the code is shared, and what can I say? Let's actually open it. github.com/aroma-b. Let me see the repos. There you go. ADO.NET demo is already here. And yes, all the source code is here without any secrets. So that's pretty cool. We can surely see it. And yes, we're using the configuration, but we are not using any secret that it should not be actually here. So other than that, I believe we have everything done. We went through a process to make the connection. We were able to execute different queries. I show you how then access those tables, right? Those columns. We are able to store the connection string, user, and password as a secret, so we can actually reserve it and not to share it through here. It's a bad practice to share secrets, and you should not be doing that through your source code. And it was a really mini application, but it gives you a glimpse of what actually happened in a real scenario or real life scenario. So for now, I believe I can actually finish this part. So I really hope that you like it. Any other question or any other doubt? Don't hesitate to reach me. Happy coding, everybody.